Oh shit.
Oh shit,
The bottle just
Drew, we
popped.
just had a bottle pop. We just had, dude, we just had.
We recorded that shit too.
All right, boys. This is officially episode 28 of Within Range with your boys Dom Juan, Jared Suter, and the ear god himself. And this definitely is a special one. I know we may have said that in the past, but the reason it is special is because this is the final episode of what we are calling our season one, or our first season of the Within Range podcast. So as you noticed, we have something on the table we've never had before, some Miley Grand Cru. I had to make sure to Google that, get the pronunciation right,
Absolutely.
so we didn't look like idiots on here. But yeah, boys, man, what a journey. I mean, there's a lot of places we can begin, but I mean, basically just wanted to do this to just kind of take a moment to recap, maybe share some of our most memorable or favorable moments on this journey we've been. But yeah, what, Jared, Drew, whoever wants to start, man, I guess more or less what's been the journey like for you, would you say?
I got one.
I
I
can go?
got one.
You
I
got
got
Drew?
one thing I
Go
wanna
for
say.
it. I love it. Yes. Well said, Drew.
All right, Jared, you can go.
It's exceeded my wildest expectations, and I have nothing but wild expectations for this trio. 28 episodes. Did we know season one would be 28 episodes when we started this venture? Absolutely not. But we've been flying this plane by gut feeling and what we've learned on this earth, and it's going really well. Proud to be doing it with you three. Yeah, man. I guess it's taken a form that I couldn't even have possibly imagined for season one. We didn't even think we'd have video, and here I'm looking into a camera talking to you all right now.
Yep.
So I think that says it all for me.
And it's a comfort level too.
Yeah, I can listen to my own voice without clawing my ears out or jumping out of the nearest window accessible to me. So growth, man.
Awesome, man. I just want to piggyback real quick, Drew, before you go off
Yeah.
of what Jared said, and the fact that he talked about expectations, and honestly, all of my expectations for what we've done and been able to do have been far exceeded. Didn't think we'd have video by now. Didn't think we'd have this many episodes by now. We were doing this kind of by the seat of our pants to a point, but also with a discipline and with a strategy. But when you're starting a new business or new venture, there's going to be ups and downs, and stuff's going to come up. But
Before I met the ear god, I thought Pro Tools was a hardware store. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, the fact that that's where I started here, and now we can at least run it remotely now. We're working,
no doubt, man.
I got to mix up with Harbor Freight and stuff,
When I first heard the idea, and mind you, I didn't even know Jared at all. Like, I knew of his name, but I never met him in person, never talked to him in person yet. So going into a business venture with, my cousin, who's definitely like a brother to me, that was exciting. But to have somebody else, I was almost like thrilled of the mystery of who this person was. He talked very highly of you, Jared. Talked a lot about your personality. And
Appreciate you, Big Don.
also, too, this is very rare, at least in my case. I've never heard somebody be talked about not only for their personality, but also for like the logical, like numerical sense that you have. So knowing that, I was
That
like,
engineering mindset,
yeah.
brother.
So I was like, okay, this isn't just like, let's just get a couple guys together and just try something out until it fails. It was more like, I got a guy who I recruited
I got a guy.
Got a guy.
that like fulfills a specific space. That's when I knew something was special, because when you put something together, if you have a bunch of people that do not fulfill specific positions, that's how you know something's going to fail.
Yeah.
But knowing like certain people fulfill certain positions that others can't, that's when at least I know there's something that can be had. It's just can we do it or not? Knowing that, it makes all the conversations, all the disagreements that we have, it even makes like the times where we're on a time crunch to get something done or to rethink something in a completely new way, it makes it exciting. And, I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but just all of that like really just excites me every single week when we have our communications, when we do our episodes, when we do our editing, when we get our final cuts. And shout out to our new editor, who's been absolutely
Mirza.
killing it, absolutely making
Crushing
this
it.
like whole thing completely gel together in more ways
We're
than
blessed.
than we can explain. So I want to give a toast.
Yeah, Mirza.
Mirza.
Cheers to Mirza, dude.
And,
Y'all watch? You
okay.
ever watch Cartoon Network back in the day? The Powerpuff Girls, when at the beginning, when they're like sugar, spice, everything nice, and ingredient X. Mirza's our ingredient X.
Shout out to Mirza.
Shout out to Mirza,
My guy.
who may or may not be coming on season 2. We're not going to give away our full guest list tonight, boys, but
Yeah, we won't be giving away the full guest list.
yeah. But real quick, Drew, also too, just want to add on. You mentioned all those things, and one thing that I wanted to add in addition to that is a team. Because, like we've talked about, I mean, each of us on this podcast play a role, a very significant role. And at first, we didn't even really know kind of what our roles were. But by this point, it's kind of clear on, who excels at one thing and who pushes another. But at the same time, we're all collaborating. We talk to each other. We communicate. And at the end of the day, that is what makes any relationship successful, and especially I would think a business one. And boys, we've been clicking lately. I mean, like we talked about, like we do this for the people, like the feedback, the comments, the follows, the shares. I mean, everything that we've received since we've been doing this, again, talk about exceeding expectations. I mean, it's been incredible.
If we could get 5 people, 10 people, I mean, you got to think about it too. If you were just sitting out in the middle of nowhere talking, which is essentially what posting things on the internet is,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like posting something on the internet is essentially like the like walking around ASU campus and the guys out there just on the soapbox talking about something. It's like, if you got 20 people even listening, I would be pretty happy with that. Like you've managed to capture 20 people's attention, and we've been able to do well more than that. And so yeah, I'm super grateful for that. The other thing I want to say too, and it's kind of what you were touching on there too, is like, it's been a cool exercise to me, because obviously you assemble a team with complementary skills and things that you think are going to work, but most of that I think typically goes out the window when you just actually get into stuff, like something's totally different than you ever thought it would. And what's cool to me, and a sign that this is meant to be, is how organically those roles have came to be. It's not like Dom was just forcing square pegs into a round hole. Like, Drew, you're going to do all the creative stuff and you're going to post to social media. Jared, you're going to be on the show and then you're going to do this. And it was just like, no, like everyone's naturally gravitated to the things that they do best. And it naturally has worked out to be unbelievably, I think we overlap where it's perfect, and then we're completely out of each other's lanes where it's perfect as well too.
Wow. Well said. Well said. It's also too a matter of, if you fuck around,
you're
gonna
the more you
find
fuck
it.
around,
The more you fuck around,
the more you're gonna
the more
find
you're gonna
out.
find
And as we've noticed after 28 episodes, is if you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
Facts.
And we want to find out, and we're gonna find out.
Can I say one
Wait,
thing?
Go for it.
And let me say this.
Yeah, let me say this.
I can already tell the champagne's gonna get us spicy by the end of this. Sorry, dude, keep going.
Do you know what I absolutely love, Jared? You had mentioned earlier when I said, you're really comfortable on camera now. When you had said that before, when you used to hear yourself, you used to like cringe, or seeing yourself on camera, you used to like feel
Couldn't do it.
uncomfortable. It's so
Couldn't do
funny that started out that way, and now you've become pretty much a front man in the face of the company. You're the last few reels that have done really well for us have had your face in it. They've had your comedy in it.
It's because he's hilarious, dude.
And
No,
He's
you guys are
funny.
too kind. But it is because of the support of my boys that I'm able to keep going. Like I said, I think here's my soapbox for the moment. My personal growth on this journey. I think a lot of people get down on themselves when they're not intrinsically motivated to do certain things. Sometimes it's enough to have friends in your life that are the external motivator that gets you to do things. Like, there have been plenty of times where I know I would not have shown up to this location, whether it was Dom's house or not, whether it was a studio or not. There are nights where if I had my druthers, I would have just not shown up and just not done it and just crashed out that night and started over the next day. But having that accountability to you and Drew, there's no option. There's no option to not show up and do it. And I think having that accountability, it's like, you should never knock yourself for it, because you've actually put that support network in place where you're weakest. And mine can be that. And that's where you're strong, dog. So,
Dude. And if we're going off of that, one of my most personal favorite moments, one of the first things that I want to talk about as we've been on this jersey. Do you know where I'm about to go?
I
with
know
this?
where you're going.
Okay. So this was episode 6. It was the Marco Uno episode. We were still
Shout out Marco Uno.
Shout out Marco Uno. GI. living in Indy, but GI native.
Man,
And
you dope.
man, you dope. Man, you dope for that. But yeah, so we were, doing an episode Marco Uno virtually. Now keep in mind, Marco Uno lives in Indianapolis and was driving about 4 hours to Chicago to.
Dude, it might have even been more than that too, dude. It was a
I think
lot.
he
drove
said
a
at
lot.
least 4.
It
I was
four.
on it. I
It
remember-
was a solid 4.
That was honestly a pivotal moment. I was like, someone just did this for us?
All right, let me finish.
Yeah.
So he's making this journey. Well, Jared had some some things come up, and he didn't think he was going to make the episode. Now, what's critical about that is Jared's equipment are what we use to do the show. So, I'm on the phone with Drew, and we're trying to figure this out because Marco is already at the studio. He arrived earlier
Hold on,
than
let me say
expected.
this. I appreciate you respecting my privacy. It was not just, like something came up. I was in an emergency room with someone,
Yes.
and we were, you can't just leave the emergency room when you're there with someone. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into
I
details.
appreciate your respect for HIPAA as someone that works in the healthcare industry. But don't worry about it, big dog. No, it's I was in the ER with someone, and I did not think I was going to make that episode, and we had Marco driving hours to go see us.
So Marco's at the studio, and I'm on the phone with Drew. I'm like, hey, look, I told Jared, I just said, hey, man, like, I understand what you're doing. Like, where you're at is way more important than this. We'll figure it out. And lo and behold, about, I would say, maybe half hour, maybe 20 minutes before we were actually about to go on, I had no contact with Jared, and I get a knock on my door, and there he is. And
Bag
dude,
ready.
That episode, dude, bag ready, walked in. I mean,
Set up.
we set up quickly. Marco was like pleased that we went. And let me say this, that was a moment, if you guys have listened to that episode or go back and listen to it, where Jared, like, you also like kind of came to that episode as well. So it was just
I was dialed in then. Yeah. I was so exhausted and stressed out from the day. And it was like a come to Jesus moment of like, I'm doing this with the boys. I got out in time. I could go home and just, write off the day, or could keep the venture going. Got to do it. There's no option at that point,
a round of applause for that.
Appreciate you,
Jared,
boys.
Jared
Appreciate
basically pulled off a miracle.
you. Couldn't have done it without you, boys. There's no doubt about that.
All right, Drew, what about you? Drew, what was one of your favorite moments, man? If you had, I know we had a lot.
This is an obvious one. Episode 1, the fact that, we actually had a test run that we were supposed to do, that was supposed to be with a guest just to kind of feel things out. It didn't end up working out. And then you're like, who are we going to get? And then was just amazed that out of the people that you thought about, or people who you knew that were artists that you wanted to interview, that you asked for Dre. And I was just honored by it because Dre is my brother. Dre is super talented. He is somebody that I absolutely love working with. And I was like, what a perfect...
Shout out Dre Baker.
Yeah, what
Shout
a
out Dre
perfect
Baker.
person to start off this whole entire show with. And to me, that will always resonate with me, just because the conversations were organic. The fact that, I can recall different things that I've went through with him, some of the things I didn't know, like about his early career before I even met him. So it was really nice hearing that. And then leading into that, I just felt like we hit such a high bar off the first episode. It was like, okay, consistently we got to keep doing that and then get better just at interviewing. And I would say my favorite moments is when you and Jared just pull off these wicked curveball questions or wicked curveball knows that about the artist or the guest that we have on the show, and they're just like, wait, how the fuck you know that?
I feel like we definitely wowed some people.
Yeah.
Dude,
For sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to recount them all. So okay, so
Sounds
we
like
had
the
Marco.
school.
We had Marco where he said, we had Marco where he was like, man, you dope, because that was Jamari, which
Yep.
for those that don't know was an album dedicated to his brother that passed away, and that was a special piece of music, and it was kind of hidden away, and I think it's a gem. I still think that.
Yeah.
So it was
absolutely.
nice to find it. I think my favorite one, dude, was honestly with Reggie recently.
Nice.
Because Reggie was
Shout
like,
out Reggie Rax.
I think
man.
we had. I think it seemed like we had already gone deep enough in that interview, and then he's like, "Actually, there's something that you guys haven't even mentioned yet," and you're just like, "You talking about the Life of Reggie documentary?" And he's just like, "Dang." That was cool for me because, again, that to me, that's a perfect example when people are like, "Oh, like, what do you mean by you guys have complementary skill sets?" Because a lot of that's behind the scenes. That actually shows up on camera, and it's like, again, it's happened so naturally.
Yes.
Occasionally there's been like hey, I've had a rough week. Are you a little more up to date on this than me? Yeah. But even in those, there's been some cases where I feel like just naturally, like we focused on one part of an artist, whether it was like you might have focused on their background more and had some like really deep pulls there. And then that frees me up to go deeper into the music
Yes.
and like
That's why this works.
pull
man.
out particular bars and things like that. Like it's like, it's almost like an assembly line, right? And then it's just like, and then Drew's there to
And he's
like
asking
have
the
this,
technical
like,
questions.
Yes, exactly. And it's like you hit on like, okay, you're stamping out the base of like the foundation of like who this person is. And then we both get to tear apart the music. I would say if there ever was a split, I would say you definitely crush the background.
Yeah,
like
that's my
really
specialty.
intensely.
Yeah.
And I just like, I end up enjoying just how my brain works, like really diving into the lyrics and just pulling out a little bar here or there. Cause people put a lot of work into a song. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that, to write a song. It's basically writing poetry, right? Like not many people are out there doing that.
And we enjoy hip hop so much, we want to dissect the lyrics. That's
It's just like, because when you can pull out even just 2 lines from a song, it's just like, oh shit, dude, like those 2 things together, like that combination of words is extremely dope. You thought of it. I haven't heard it anywhere else. Congrats. Like that's it's like prospecting, you know, you found a little piece of gold there. I love being able to call that out. And again, it's the nice thing is that flows, right? It's not set in stone. It's not like, oh, Dom checks the background, Jared does the music, Drew has all the technical stuff, and we just like rotate through this 3-man process every time. It's just like it's like a jolt of electricity. It just bounces between wherever the energy's at that moment, you know? And it's like that's cool to me.
And I love that we're not
That's
really,
natural.
And I love that we're not really fighting for airtime. Like I feel like that's what makes
We all know when to shut up.
we share the rock.
Yeah.
We share the rock.
Yeah.
We pass the rock.
evenly.
Sure.
A couple other episodes that I want to bring up. You know, one of the things that I absolutely love about this show is I love hearing the backstories, like hearing Gomez Goes of, you know, being an immigrant. And, you know, I loved hearing Voss's story, like him being a peer and being an engineer, being an artist himself and being a teacher. Like seeing those things really show me of like, damn, there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things, but the main thing that kind of keeps everybody together or keeps everybody 6 degrees of separation is music.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just so powerful of how, you know, everybody goes on their lives in different ways and everybody has different philosophies. Like shout out to Vav. Like Vav has such a just exuberant energy and he speaks and lives everything that he does.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That was just life force.
Yeah, the fact that he was like such an early episode, I feel like really cemented like we have something here.
We are within range of everything that's not within our limits. The naturalness, dude. Come on. Shout out Mavericks, man. Friend of the pod.
And that's another thing I want to highlight too is, you know, the array of guests we had for our first season. I mean, a lot of them actually came naturally. You know, we reached out to people reached out to us.
Yeah, that's true.
But just, you know, and something we're going to get into of what we're going to be working on next year. But, you know, you look at, like Drew said, you know, Voss, you look at someone like a Pilot Flying and Neeli Bands. Then we had someone on who's my big brother, my mentor, Jay Money, who just came on just to strictly, you know, I want to tell his story because he's played a major influence in my success really since I've been in Arizona and been a mentor since I met him. So I'm like, why would we not want to share his story?
Yeah.
So it's just incredible, man. All these different people we have on, and something we got, you know, coming in 2023, just some giveaways is, you know, I know we mainly kind of stuck to artists and we've had some one-offs, but, we hope to get a little bit more diverse, a little more intricate. We may have, you know, people on who've possibly directed documentaries, people who are entrepreneurs. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but music
People
is
are on tour with major recording artists as well currently. We don't know, dude.
We could keep going.
We don't know. We don't know. We open Pandora's box and we're still finding out what's
Maybe
in
Bed
there.
Bath and Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna have enough time.
Way beyond.
But no, man. It's, you know, I think we got some great things coming. Again, it's been an awesome journey, man. There's been a lot of great memories, and you know, again, I don't want to talk about the downtimes too much, but in every venture, every journey, there's gonna be
acknowledge them.
there's gonna be some lows, and listen, guys, we were at those moments, but we just knew, you know, we possibly have something we need to keep going. And again, the feedback and the criticism we've been getting mostly has been positive.
The numbers, the reach, we're small. Like, that's a fact. We're small right now, but the reach we're seeing on posts and numbers, we know we're doing the right thing. Man, I just like, for me, this other thing I want to talk about is like just reviewing all the guests we've had. You know, we're not a self-help podcast, right? Like that's not what we're here to be. Like this is more of a cultural commentary, it's storytelling, whatever you want to call it. It's music based, but this is not a self-help podcast. But if you watch this, if you're an aspiring artist, like that's something that's come to the forefront for me. If you're an aspiring artist and you're like watching what people are doing, like we've had people that have had success on here. It like
absolutely,
it's, you know, that people are looking for, like that level of success.
Delhi every day. I mean,
And it's like if you watch these episodes and really listen to these people and their stories, like we didn't have a single boring person on here.
No.
Like we didn't have
We did
anyone
not.
really on here that was like, yeah, no, I grew up, you know, Mark and Tracy, my parents, they were great. Cooked breakfast every Saturday and Sunday.
Had a
All
white
American
picket
football
fence.
team, valedictorian. Hey, I was even on the chess team, and yeah, just started making really banger hip hop music. Like, no one fucking comes on here and says that. Everyone struggled, and like, again, and you're not comparing. People had wild struggles. We've had stories of immigration. We've had stories within this country of struggle. Like, the one common thread is everyone struggles, and so I think if you are an aspiring artist, like. One thing I'd love to hear about, and certainly that I hope is that you can watch this and there's nuggets that you pull away. And again, it's not a
Yes.
dedicated like, oh, we're how to make it as an artist, because I sure as fuck don't know how to do that.
Nope. Same.
But I do know how to talk to people. I do know how to ask them and tease apart their stories. And my hope is that over time we can kind of refine that. And I would love to put out eventually a guide once we've got that and we've talked to more people. But I do hope that people take value away from this, whether it's a fact that we post online and you get to sound like you know more about hip hop than you really do to your friends, whether it's you know about an artist in Arizona that absolutely no one else knew about outside of the state or our area. Like, we're trying to give you value. So I hope we're doing that. Please let us know if we're not, and please
Absolutely.
let us know how else we could do that, because that's what I'm here to do, is give you value. That's why you tune in.
I'm
Cheers
drinking
to
to
that,
that
bro.
one. Cheers, man. Well said, Jared.
I can say personally, I've seen a lot of people say things on the internet but don't do it in real life, but this is what we do. I know I'm here in Chicago. I can't completely be in Arizona all the time, but I will say this. My dogs have been going to events. They've been going face to face, meeting with people in the flesh. So
This is
what
true.
we do on the
Shout out
internet,
Dom for that, especially.
what we do on the internet is one thing, but what you see us do in real life, that's the stuff that matters. So if we come to your event, that means we fuck with you.
That is true. Like, that's another thing I want to highlight now that you mentioned that. Dude, like, this has been such an organic experience. And I think that's cool for us to say that, because we've gotten to talk about that with artists that we fuck with, that
Yep.
we've had on the show. And it's like, oh, you're extremely authentic, and that's why we like your music. It's certainly my hope that people can see the authenticity in this. There's the first few episodes in this season without video.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden video
Yeah.
comes in. And then by this episode, the video looks even better. And it's really a combination of things. It's us communicating, it's
Yeah.
gear, it's setting
Time.
things
Mhm.
up, it's time, it's just going through the motions. Like, but what I certainly hope everyone knows is no one's paying to get on here. Like, if you come on this show, we fuck with you. Like, that's a given.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
it's just like, it's like, you know, the reason people go to McDonald's on a road trip instead of the off the road burger shack is because they know what they're getting
Yeah.
at McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hope that people know, like, if you're on this show, it's implied we fuck with you, we like your music, we want to share your story, and yeah, I guess
Wow.
that's where I'm at. Yeah, that's what I want.
Man.
I want people to know that, because
Yeah.
it's we're
That's
not
important.
charging. There's nothing. This is we want people on here that want to be on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, we know that we're not going to get Lil Wayne on here next week.
Not yet.
Not
Not
yet. But we want to find those people that mutually fuck with what we're doing. We fuck with what they're doing. That becomes a mutually beneficial relationship, and it can grow from there.
Man, well said, man. And to piggyback off what both you guys just talked about is we are about this. We are, we want to be a part of this culture, especially here in Arizona, but we want to be able to tap into people from all over. Again, just to share stories, just to tell backgrounds, just to, dive deeper into the music, because we love this. This is what, fuels us. Jared, you just said earlier, like, you have to listen to music a lot of your day, and I'm the same way. Drew, I'm sure you are too. It's like,
All day.
and it's just at the end of the day, also too, is we want, motivational stuff. That's one of our keys to this, is why we do this, is to, inspire, maybe motivate someone, because someone else's story might motivate you. Like Drew talked about Gomez Goes, his journey getting just to the U.S. in general. I mean, that's how do you not get inspired off of stuff like that? So
That's what I'm saying. And then he's again, like it's like the Bill Burr thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to talk shit about Arnold Schwarzenegger? How many of you could move to Austria, learn the language, become famous for bodybuilding, star in their movies, marry their royalty, and hold public office?" Which is exactly what Schwarzenegger did. And Gomez is along that same lines. It's like, how many of you would have just his basic story and then go work at Harbor Freight? To bring up another business I mentioned earlier, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and no, he's out here actually like making art and making a name for himself. Like, how the fuck does that not inspire you, dude?
That's super inspirational. But boys, this is it. All right, we're celebrating. This is why we've done this. This is why we're putting this out to the people. But this is officially episode 28, which is also our last episode of officially season 1. We're excited for what we got coming in 2023. Anything that either of you boys just want to share quickly without giving too much stuff away about what's to come or what we got coming up?
Not even what's to come, dude. I just want to say something right now that just came to me, dude. Like, there's 60 to 100,000 songs, tracks getting uploaded to Spotify alone on a daily basis. All I want to say is let within range be the reason that it stands out. Okay, let us be the reason that people know about you, what you do, why you do it, why the music's authentic. Let us be that reason. Because it's harder and harder to stand out these days. Again, we're not charging for this. If we fuck with you and your story, we want to bring you on. Let us be that reason. Cheers to that.
Hey, I say we end on that one. Drew, you got the outro music? Cheers.